Right now we're watching Profiles of Nature, the Beaver. This was produced by Ralph Ellis, William Carrick, and Phoenix BFA Films and Video. Publication date 1984. Topics: beavers, beavers, and beavers. Okay, this should be a good one. I don't want to say that I'm an expert on beavers, but I do know a little bit more than most about beavers, and compared to the rest of the subjects that we're watching on this channel, I think I know a fair amount here. All right, but I'm always ready to learn more. So let's learn about beavers from the year 1984. Whoa, that is not a beaver. Whoa, neither is that. Oh, it's gonna be all the animals, all right. Oh, that's a beaver. Yeah, that's what you come here for me to know what beavers are. Okay, so just from this intro, what I'm picking up is that this used to be a show called Profiles of Nature, obviously, and they must have done like an episode on individual animals. Whoa. This is just the intro. Even the intro is a blast. I think I'm gonna like this a lot because the intro itself is just a lot of fun. Wow, that's a great shot too. That's a great shot for the intro, is this car coming out of the water. What's crazy, you don't see any tire tracks in the sand either. This must have been the only, but how'd they get the car in the water before driving out into the, I don't know. Those are the questions I like asking when learning about beavers.
This is both a labor of love and of necessity. A work that has gone on ever since the first beaver discovered his purpose on Earth: to cut down a tree, strip the branches, and build a dam.
All right, so we're already just into dam building already. And yeah, this must be the most amazing aspect of beavers, is that they just pile wood on top of each other until it stops the flow of water, which if you've ever seen it in real life is actually amazing how big they can build these, how much wood needs to go into a beaver dam in order for it to actually work, and then how effective they are, how this tangle of branches that there is no mud. I mean, sometimes they bring mud and they have it cemented, but there is no sealed container keeping the water from flowing. It is just slowed down, and that enough creates huge wetlands, which is just amazing. Beavers look really crazy. I don't know if any of you have ever seen them in real life, but like the first thing you realize when seeing a beaver is how big they are. These things are like medium to large dogs. Like, they're not small dogs. I thought they would be like, you know, little rats or something, like meerkats or gophers. But no, they're not the biggest rodent, but they might be the biggest rodent in North America. Actually, yeah, I think so. I think they are. And if you ever see their teeth are insane too. But you are not prepared to see a beaver in real life if you've never seen one before. They feel like a person could fit inside them. A small person, but a person. The beaver. Hang on, before we even go further, I wanna see if I can guess some of the facts that they're gonna say, because there are just like a handful of facts that people love saying about beavers, and I think if I can guess them beforehand, then I've shown that my intro saying that I knew something about beavers was worth it. If we hear the term ecosystem engineer, that's 1 point for me. If they show us the Beaver Lodge, that seems obvious that they'll do that though. This is the fact that everyone loves sharing about beavers, that after humans, beavers are the animals that alter the environment the most, which is arguably fair. I mean, they single-handedly alter the environment the most, but if you killed every beaver and you killed every ant on Earth, I think you would have a greater impact by killing the ants. So they are the biggest environmental impactor, but I would argue that. But I'm ready to see if they have that fact.
You won't often see a beaver in broad daylight. By preference, he works after sundown. But if there's a dam to be repaired or a water level corrected, he or she will be out there regardless of the time of day or the season of the year.
It's already so amazing watching them, because what they're trying to do is already like so complex. Like, for a beaver to have the ability to conceptualize that it's building a dam and every individual part of the dam needs a special attention is really just amazing. Amazing that another animal is capable of doing this, but then you watch it place these sticks and it does it so purposefully. Like, you can see the thought taking place within these beavers' minds, and I think that's more than anything what really is amazing about them is that you get to see them not only think, but the problems that they're trying to solve. Some animals just try to solve, oh, there's a predator, let's run away. But beavers are actually solving like an engineering problem, and that's that's what makes them so spectacular as animals compared to pretty much anything else, is they are actually assembling and constructing something. I've just been watching for 5 seconds though.
Regardless of the time of day or the season of the year. The beaver lives by its teeth, 4 razor-edged incisors that can cut through a branch with a single snap.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to go into their teeth at all. I mean, it just started doing it. But their teeth, if you ever see their teeth, they're like bright orange on the outside. And that is like some layer of iron. The orange iron on the front and then the regular calcium tooth on the back. And whenever they chew on something, the iron is more resilient, so it doesn't break down, but the calcium does. So what that does is when they bite, the calcium erodes away, but the iron stays there and it sharpens it. So the act of chewing actually sharpens their own teeth, which is incredible. And if you see their teeth get really long. I once had a teacher bring a beaver skull into my class, so we got to see like the full tooth that goes down into their skull and everything. And it is wild. I don't know if they're going to do that in this, but if you do, I'll pause and we'll talk about it more. But look at this guy. He's literally like solving problems, like you can see him look around and like look at everything that he's got to work with and see what his solution is. You very rarely see animals actually problem solving in a way that we can understand as well, because animals will problem solve in one way that we probably can't understand, but this way we can understand. They're trying to build something. They're doing something that we like to do too. So you see them acting so human. It's so bizarre. And even their little hands, you'll see it later, but they use their hands in such a human way as well that it's really hard to think of beavers as non-intelligent. These are some of the smartest animals that exist. And I don't think a lot of people include beavers in their list of smart animals with dolphins and whatever, but they are doing something more complex than just about any other animal is capable of. They are engaging in a level of thought that animals are largely incapable of. So it really is amazing.
The purpose of all this activity is to create a pond deep enough.
Yeah, look how big that is. I just want you all to imagine, like, these are all just sticks that a beaver piled up, and it's across, like, this looks like a river at a certain point. Like, it really is just amazing. I have a park like this near me too, and it's exactly this. It's this huge wooden structure, and behind it is all this grass and stuff growing, and that's actually what holds kind of the whole ecosystem together. Is the grass grows into the dam and things grow out of the dam and it solidifies it in place. And this looks like a very new dam. I mean, the filmmakers, whoever was filming this, probably went to a brand new dam so that they could get footage like this. But it's so big, it's taller than this grass. Like, this grass is probably like 6 or 7 feet tall. So, I mean, there's probably a hill or something that the dam is on top of. But when you see this dam, it is probably taller than you are.
So that the entrance to the beaver's lodge can be located below the surface.
Oh, yeah. Here's another thing. For their lodge, they like to pile a bunch of logs on top and then swim underneath it and chew through it so that the only entrance to their lodge is through the water underground. That just makes it really safe. I wonder if they're going to say that in this too. I hope we get some camera shots of them doing that, because I've never actually seen that. I've only ever just been told that, and I would really like to see footage inside a beaver lodge.
The beaver is an air-breathing creature, but is superbly equipped for life below the surface.
Dang, I never knew how webbed beavers' feet were either. I'm trying to think of other rodents' feet. That's obviously a special adaptation, but I mean, it makes perfect sense why they would have it. I never thought about that. That's interesting. They are like half fish at a certain point. It's funny that they said they were air breathing because, like, obviously, but I guess when you see them in the water, you really do think that these are aquatic beings.
Normally it will stay under for only 4 or 5 minutes at a time, but in an emergency can remain there for up to 15 minutes. Thanks to a heart rate that actually slows down to conserve oxygen.
It must have been so fun to be the cameraman getting these shots. Like, there was something so rewarding about filming animals, and to have like a beaver right up next to you swimming in the water and getting that shot from under the water. This must have been a blast to film. But that's always my question too. Like, these shots that they're cutting between, they have this surface shot of the beaver above the water with its head and everything, and then they cut to these underwater shots. And I always wonder, are these in the same place, or are these shots like completely unrelated? Like this beaver swimming, this kind of looks like it's in like a zoo enclosure. Like I don't know how you get that close to a beaver otherwise, purposefully, you know, like the film cameras that they're probably using for these are so huge that you probably can't just bring them out into the woods as easily as you'd imagine. So I don't know, this might be like a zoo enclosure and then they're cutting to real wildlife footage, maybe not. It looks like a zoo enclosure. I don't know why, but I wonder how they get stuff like this, because I want to try making stuff like this, but I don't know how much you need to fake and how much you can do for real, really. And I guess we'll see.
When building its lodge, the beaver works from the stream bottom upwards. The final result is a complex tangle of branches, stones, sand...
Oh, he did say that, right? He works from the bottom upwards? Yeah.
...and mud of extraordinary strength.
Yeah, that's what they do. Look, this big pile of sticks. They just pile them on and then they chew from the bottom.
The side is hollow to accommodate a large family, with room on the surface for a nesting Canada goose. In deep winter, you'll rarely see a beaver in the great outdoors. But once the March sun starts to open the waters, there he is again, out checking on the raw materials of his universe. His favorite eating tree...
Oh yeah, I have trees like this all over the park near me, all this beaver chew. You can clearly tell when beavers are in the area because they leave trees like this for a long time too.
...is the aspen. But for dam building purposes, he'll tackle almost anything.
You gotta love the 10-second uncut zoom in on this cut log. Like, you don't get shots like that in modern day documentaries.
A full-grown member of the clan may measure more than a meter from the nose to the tip of the tail.
More than a meter from the tip of the nose to the tail. That's 3 feet pretty much. These things, I always saw them and I thought they looked like no more than a foot. But yeah, 3 feet long. And that's forgetting how bulky they are too. Like if you look at this just still, like this thing is, oh man, I don't want to guess how heavy I think they are. They're probably 50 pounds, maybe less. These are heavy animals. Like that is bigger than probably like a 6-year-old, maybe a 7-year-old. How much HP? I don't think I should keep doing the HP for animals, but I think these are only like 50 HP.
And weigh in at around 25 kilograms.
Oh no. See, I love that. That is like the most perfect thing you could ever get when filming wildlife, is a mistake made by an animal. Because you very rarely get to see animals like slip and be imperfect like that. And that's just so funny that we watched it fall over in the snow. I want to watch that again.
A full-grown member of the clan may measure more than a meter from the nose to the tip of the tail and weigh in at around 25 kilograms.
Yeah, look, it's trying to go around. It knows that's water, and it's trying to go. And then it crumbles, the snow crumbles, and just goes in anyway. See, but this shot must have been taken somewhere completely different, right? Like, this is open water. If you look back in the previous shot, that was like a little tiny pond. There is no way they had this much room in that one tiny pond. This must have been cut to a completely different beaver, completely different day.
Broad and leathery, serves as both rudder and propeller, and in times of danger can be used to smack the surface of the water.
They actually swim really funny under the ice. I've never seen them do that either, but that is like, they're just like crawling.
Smack the surface of the water as a warning to nearby friends.
Right, like this looks like a zoo enclosure. I don't know how they got these underwater shots.
With a little cooperation from nature, beavers live relatively long lives. 12 years is average, and some make it to 20 and beyond, depending on the food supply.
Yeah, a 20-year-old beaver, that's pretty impressive.
For the Canadian beaver today, public enemy number 1 is the wolf. Apart from the wolf, the fellow creatures of the forest are mostly good neighbors.
Hang on, hang on. I feel like I wouldn't be doing my job as an environmentalist if I didn't say that there was one other threat to beavers besides wolves, and that's humans, obviously. It's always interesting to see how much of that they include in these old films, is the human element. People only really recently have started really calling out humans for their destructive behavior. So, but we'll see, because a lot of the times these guys were more advanced than we give them credit for.
Some, like this red fox, are even good fun.
See, this again would be an amazing thing to get as a photographer. Like, imagine you're shooting beavers and a fox shows up. Like, how did they... Because was it just one person, you think, filming all this? How do you just get a fox to come to you in the forest? Somebody is like standing up too. Like, how do you get a fox to come to you to only pay attention to the beaver too? It's not even paying attention to the human. It's like crazy to think how they got this. Like this fox looks like it has no idea there's a person right next to it. So I don't know how they got that, but that was a great shot. That must have been so exciting to get as a photographer. Do you think they brought a fox? Like, how? Because they're getting all these shots of the foxes, right? That's what I'm so curious about for these nature documentaries. Like, how do you get multiple angles on a fox that just randomly showed up? Especially if you're just one guy with one film camera. Like, how is this actually made? That's really what I'm trying to figure out.
The raccoon hasn't quite the same sense of security. He doesn't have the beaver's teeth, but he is faster up a tree. At this season of the year, inside the lodge, the female beaver is preparing to give birth, but she's well protected.
See, that's what I was saying. That's why they dig their lodges from the bottom. Because that fox just tried to do exactly that. It was trying to get to the babies, and it couldn't do it because the only hole to it was in the bottom, see? See, it all makes sense.
Back in the 17th and 18th centuries, fortunes could be made by selling beaver pelts to the hat trade in England and on the continent. Today, fashions have changed.
See, that's so bizarre because, like, a beaver skin hat, like, I've never even heard of a beaver skin hat. It's probably just the regular hats people were wearing, but it's so bizarre that people hunted these animals just to make hats that I don't even know about.
He is sometimes called nature's engineer. As a builder, he is unequaled in the natural world.
I told you they were going to say that. Something along those lines.
As a planner, he sometimes falls a little short.
See, but that's the thing. It said he falls a little short as a planner, but like the fact that it's planning, how many wild animals just plan, like observably plan? Like I know like migrating birds plan to migrate or whatever, but they don't like build something with a plan, you know? Like that is a very special trait of the beaver.
Beavers have been known to build a 30-meter dam across a stream when just around the bend, a 10-meter structure would have served the same purpose. For a long time, there was a friendly argument among naturalists as to whether the beaver could actually carry things in his front paws. Here's some convincing evidence.
Wow, I've never seen a beaver do that. That's incredible. I know I said that they use mainly sticks to build their dams, but here you can actually see it covering the sticks with mud, and that's what kind of forms more of a concrete or something to keep the water from flowing through. And that's incredible because it's not using its mouth like they normally do. It's using its arms to just carry mud. That's so funny because it looks so human when it's doing that, you know? Like, imagine a human just carrying a thing of mud. It would look exactly the same as this beaver doing it.
Thinkers, but doers.
That's so funny. It's just rolling a ball of mud. And it's carrying a stick in its mouth. It's multitasking. That's what it is.
This behavior is all instinctive, developed over thousands of years of evolution, the product of intuition rather than reason. In the beaver's mind, wherever there is running water, a dam should be built. And a dam is not only an engineering feat, but a work of art, a thing of beauty in itself.
I agree with that. For an animal to build, is it a work of art? Is it expressing some aspect of the beaver's emotionality? It's a work of engineering, that's for sure. Dang, look at these beavers just carrying things. That's so fun.
One of the nicer features of the beaver is a capacity for teamwork. Male and female will often join in the work at hand.
See, that's just another amazing aspect. It's like how many animals can plan things, engineer things, build things, and work together to do that. That is like only ants and humans, really, and beavers. And that's how they are able to build such big things, is because multiple ones do it, work on the same dam.
And a major project may involve several generations.
That's wild too, that it'll take like 4 generations of beaver to build a full dam. That's wild.
In general, they are very peaceful creatures, at least within the family. But should a beaver from another area try to work his way in, he will be dealt with quite harshly. Territorial rights are rigidly enforced, and geographical boundaries clearly marked.
Oh, I can only imagine. After your great-grandfather, your grandfather, your father, and you spent all of your lives working on one single dam, if another beaver came along and tried to steal that, I would, yeah, absolutely fight to the death to protect that. Whoa. These are so ridiculous. Seeing them carry stuff with their arms. Like they look like you put like a little tiny person inside the skin of like a rat and just had them walk around like humans. Like it was walking with its back legs too.
It identifies the immediate territory claimed by this particular colony. First, the beaver builds the pile, sometimes to imposing proportions.
Look at its little hands. They're so interesting because they're so purposeful in their actions, which makes them so interesting because again, you can see their intelligence through every single action that they take.
Then, with a secretion from the castor gland located near his tail, he anoints it with his scent. Henceforth, let all intruders beware. Here, in the territory being claimed, there are ample materials for the building of a new lodge, within which to take a mate and create the next generation. The following scenes represent some of the most extraordinary film footage ever taken of behavior in...
Yes, I knew it. I knew they would have footage inside the Beaver Lodge. I knew it. I don't know why, but I felt it. I don't know how they got this footage either. I don't know how you get a camera inside a Beaver Lodge. You must have divers and you must have a very small camera, which is crazy because they were filming on film back in the day. So I don't know. I have no idea how they did this. I hope they show it to us a little, but I'm excited to see what they see.
Inside a Beaver Lodge. The work of the Canadian naturalist, William Carrick.
It's sleeping upside down. That is so funny. I just did not expect a beaver to be sleeping like that.
Humans, beavers often grind their teeth.
Oh, and there's their teeth. There's their teeth. That's exactly the orange. That's the iron. Like the iron turns orange when it rusts. Like, and you can see the white behind the orange because it's self-sharpening teeth. I don't know how they got a close-up. They got a close-up of a beaver's teeth when it's upside down asleep in its lodge. The narrator was perfectly right when they said this is some of the most impressive footage ever, because it really is. I don't know how you get this sort of footage.
If they didn't, the teeth would grow out of control and eventually kill them.
Dang, it looks like he grinds his teeth in his sleep though.
Normally it would be so dark in here that you couldn't even see the beavers.
I didn't even think about that. How'd they get light in there? He just said it'd be too dark for them to even see. The fact that the beavers aren't put out by having this like probably blinding light shoved inside their lodge when they're trying to sleep. That's stuff you never think about when watching, but it has to be that way unless or you don't get the footage.
Let alone record their activities. Right now, it's wake-up time.
I don't know why I love seeing every animal yawning, because every animal does yawn, like even snakes yawn, and it's so funny to see what animals do similarly and differently. Like its tongue, did you see its tongue when it was yawning? Or is that its tongue or is it its tooth? Like that was a big yawn it just took. Oh, there we go, another one.
One of the hidden camera's first discoveries was that beavers are immaculate housekeepers.
I like how the narrator is like whispering right now. Like you can tell that they're pretending like they're inside the lodge with you.
And the tidying up is a family affair, usually instigated by the younger members. They like to sleep on a form of bedding which they make themselves by shredding branches.
See, again, that's amazing. Like, not only do they build the dam, not only do they build the lodge, but inside the lodge, they create a bedding for themselves out of these wood chips. Like, these are really intelligent beings. Dude, I've seen people with dirtier houses than these beavers have, let me tell you.
Daily. This may be where the expression busy as a beaver came from.
I've never heard that expression. Has anyone heard that expression, busy as a beaver? Like, I've heard busy as a bee, right? But not busy as a beaver.
At any rate, it's clear that they don't like to sleep on anything that's wet or soiled. To record this intimate behavior, William Carrick nurtured a pair of beavers into a colony of 14 individuals in 5 age groups.
It just said how they did this. The guy, William, what was his name? William something. He bred these beavers in order to be able to get this footage. Like, you can't just get this footage. You can't just go to a wild beaver lodge and stick your head inside and throw a camera and some lights into. Like, in order to get all of this, some guy had to breed generations of beavers. Like, the amount of work that went into this just so that we could see what's going on here. And again, that's why watching old stuff like this is so valuable. How many people are breeding beavers just to make a documentary about them now? I don't want to say this is lost because it's still obviously here, but this is stuff that people don't really see anymore. And it's just so cool to get to see inside a beaver lodge.
To record this intimate behavior, William Carrick nurtured a pair of beavers into a colony of 14 individuals in 5 age groups.
He took 2 beavers, turned it into 14 individuals in 5 age groups. That's crazy. Like, how long does that take, right? 5 age groups. So he probably has one. He's probably been caring for these beavers for like 15 or 20 years at this point.
Filming went on over a 7-year period.
Over a 7-year period. Did you hear that? He filmed. It took 7 years to get this footage, like all of it. That is bizarre. Again, just to make this too, this little forgotten profiles of nature, the beaver, like that's why I do this, is for stuff like this. So that this man's 7 years of photography get to be watched by people again.
And centered around a specially constructed plastic beaver lodge.
Oh, and he built the lodge himself too. That's why I haven't made something like this, is because this requires so much more work than you initially expect. I know I always mention the music, but right now especially, it's just so, it's so weird. It's just, I don't even know how to describe it. It feels like there's no melody or anything. It's just like 2 notes, like on forever.
And this is how the bedding is made. Suitable branches are brought up through the plunge hole, given a final inspection, and again the powerful jaws go to work. Aided by front paws, which are, in fact, small hands perfectly suited to the work in progress.
See, that's amazing too, because not only are they taking branches from the outside, bringing them in, but they're also manufacturing their own bedding. You know, it's one thing to use a resource from nature as it is, to put a branch in the beaver dam or whatever. It's another thing to take a material and say, I'm going to alter this into a pretty much a new material that I'm going to use for a purpose that the original thing could never have been used for. And the real amazing part is, how did these beavers figure this out? This is information. This isn't like something that can be programmed instinctually, right? You have to be taught this, I guess. Like, that's the crazy part, is that this beaver knows how to do this because its parents did that, and its parents knew how to do it because their parents knew how to do that. And what we're seeing here is information that has been passed down the generations of beavers for thousands of years at this point. And that's really the amazing part, is how complex all these behaviors are and how much of them are not instinctual but learned.
And such is life in the inner spaces of a beaver lodge. Left to his own devices, the beaver will spend much of his time in this fashion. He is one of the greatest eaters in all outdoors, relishing the delicious green leaves of summer, along with the bark of aspen.
See, again, just seeing them use their front paws like hands in the same exact way humans would use hands is just, again, just goes to reiterating the fact that these are really intelligent animals. And they are not only intelligent, but they're physically intelligent. They're capable of using their bodies in complex and sophisticated ways. It's just, it never gets old seeing a beaver do something
Willow
like this.
and alder. In winter, you take what you can get, or have been wise enough to store in an underwater cache. Two kinds of hair make up the fur of the beaver. One close set and woolly, the other coarser, longer, and reddish brown.
You see, even the way they like scratch their heads with their little hands, like they look like little humans.
Both must be groomed constantly.
Like if that doesn't look like a little person inside of like a rat suit, I don't know what it does.
Constantly, dried and lubricated as a matter of survival. If the underfur is allowed to become wet in winter, the beaver will suffer rapid temperature loss.
Like look at it wiping its little hands on its belly. Like I don't know. I don't know if anyone is finding this as enjoyable as I am. It's just rubbing, man.
The claw of the second hind toe is doubled and serves as a useful comb, but the front paws are the main instrument of grooming. Mating normally takes place in February, and 90 days later the real action begins.
Whoa, those are beaver babies? Those look like little, like, dogs. Those are crazy. Do these not look like dogs? Like, tell me, right? Like, these are... I would never have guessed these are beaver babies. Beaver babies. Is there a word for beaver babies that I don't know? Is it, like... I can't even think of anything. Beeflets?
We're usually 4 at a time, but a litter can vary from 1 to 8. At birth, they are approximately 15 centimeters in length and weigh about 500 grams.
Oh, that looks like a beaver. That must already have been old. They're actually pretty cute as small. You know, beavers, I'll say beavers are not cute. They're very interesting, but I wouldn't call them cute. But that little beaver baby was
Mother
cute.
is a firm but kindly instructor.
Again, it's just crazy to think that there's somebody behind this camera filming all this. Like, I know they said that he constructed a plastic beaver lodge, but I still want to see what it looks like. Like how, there must have been a window, right? Like he must have left a window for himself to film through. It's just so amazing that we have this footage. I'm sure other people have done this since then, but I don't even know if this is the first person to ever film this, but it feels like the first person to ever get a camera inside a beaver lodge. I guess they said that earlier, right? Now they just look like gophers. And that was beavers nursing on their mother for 1 full uncut minute. I don't really have much to say about it, but it took so long to watch that I need to say something. I actually think it's good that they have all these long uncut shots. When I edit stuff, that's all I want to do is include a completely uncut clip. So I really enjoy that they include them. It's funny seeing them because these days people do not edit like that anymore. And I think that's because, like, back in this day, they were really limited by the footage they had, so they wanted to use every piece of footage they got. But I feel like today, documentary films, they'll have, like, you know, multiple different angles of the same shot and everything. They'll have so much footage that they have to cut a lot of it, and then they don't end up valuing that one shot of a beaver eating something because they have 10 shots of 10 different angles of a beaver doing that. So why would they linger on it, you know? Again, the music for this part is just... it doesn't really fit. It's just so, it feels like 2 notes over and over again. I was going to ask, before we got to this shot, I was going to ask, I wonder if beavers play with each other in the lodge. Like, I know if you have kittens or puppies, newborns, they always like to play with each other. And I wonder if that's a similarity between all real baby animals, or all mammals at least, is that they play. They're just so silly looking. Like this one trying to climb up this rock with its little tail dangling down. They're a very not serious animal.
Up until now, in the life of the new family, it's been mostly mother. Now it's father's turn, and the subject here is life in the water.
It's so funny that their door into their home is just this little hole of water that they go down out of. That's just like, that's so interesting. I kind of want to live in a beaver lodge. It looks cozy. I know it, like, I couldn't fit in one, but like something about their homes seem really nice. Like imagine that was your door. Like to get out of your house, you had to jump into a pool and swim under your house and back out. It's just, nobody's getting in, right? Like these must be completely invader proof, except for other beavers, I guess. Or maybe muskrats.
And learned about where to go, where not to go, and above all, how to get back when you've got there. This part comes naturally. Now it's all very much of a family affair. Father, mother, newborn kits, and last year's children. The one-year-olds, or yearlings, are still at home, not yet ready to mate, but fully responsible for their share of the work. And that can include looking after the small types.
That's another thing that I feel like animals don't do a lot, is they live in like tribes or families, you know? Like, I guess deer do that too. They travel in packs. But animals like this, that's again another very human thing, is to have your family close and all, like, because he said that, right? Like the yearlings are taking care of the younger ones, or the younger ones are taking care of the yearlings anyway. Like the whole family is engaged in this work to take care of itself. Cooperation, that is really another very intelligent aspect of this animal behavior, is their cooperation, not only with each other, but with their whole families. Like they really do form tribes. When you think about what a tribe is, like eventually that's what those family units become, is a tribe.
On occasion, the yearlings will even babysit when the parents are otherwise occupied.
Yeah, they'll babysit, it said that.
Without being taught, the kits can swim within 24 hours of birth and dive on the second day.
See, look how it's like
At
handling
this
its
stage,
baby
it's
with its
all
hands.
important
Do
to
you
keep
see
the
that?
kids close to home.
Is it going to push
If
it
they were to
in?
stray too far and end up on shore, they probably wouldn't last long. But once they discover the water, it's hard to keep them out of it. Every time you turn your back, there's another one missing.
This, I just gotta say, this really is incredible footage that we're getting to see right now. Like, this is just an eye into the inside world of beavers. I'm very glad I chose this. Like, look at it holding its babies by the face.
It's impossible for the human mind to
and its
know
hand,
precisely
its
what
hand is so
communication
weird.
goes on here. But training is almost continuous and always accompanied by
Hey,
loving
look at it.
kindness.
These are hilarious.
And if a little one won't clean itself up properly, well, what are mothers for?
Yeah, like the way they're using their hands is just so eerie, because that's exactly how we use our hands. Alright, I'm gonna say it, yeah. In like, if humans disappeared and you gave the natural world like another 5 million years, I feel like beavers are in line to take our place. Like, they might not be first. Obviously, chimpanzees, bonobos, they'll probably have the next in line, but I think beavers are closer to forming like civilizations than almost any other animal, just based on what I'm seeing right now.
It's always astonishing to observe this search and rescue operation, and to realize that those same teeth, which can take down a full-grown tree in minutes, can retrieve a 2-day-old kit and deposit it on dry land without even ruffling
The
its
babies
fur.
are actually really cute. Alright, I'll admit it. I know I said that beavers aren't cute a minute ago, but these guys, they're winning me over too. Just seeing them jump in the water and then come back out.
And finally, after a long day's work, a situation that may seem familiar to most humans, a meeting of the elders.
Literally does look like they're discussing something, or at the very least, it kind of looks like they're playing cards. Does it not look like they're having a talk about something? Like, none of the kids are here. They're all facing each other. They're sitting the same way. Like, this guy all the way on the right, like, he looks like he's sitting properly for something. And it is like, are they speaking? Like, I would not be surprised if an overwhelming number of animals do actually like speak to each other in like frequencies that we just like can't pick up on, because it really does look like they're having a conversation.
At 6 weeks, the kit is weaned and can now make his first full exploration of the surrounding waters, both below and on the surface. beaver pond quickly becomes a gathering place for all manner of wildlife, including the ever-playful raccoon.
Is this raccoon really trying to eat the beaver, or is it playing? It's acting weird. It's actually so interesting to see how two different animals interact with one another in nature. Like, you see human-animal interaction all the time, but to see like how they address each other, it's just so interesting. Like, I wonder if the beaver recognizes that this is a raccoon, or if it just knows that this is like an annoying animal, you know? Again, what is it trying to do though? Is it trying to like attack them to eat? I mean, I think the narrator will tell us eventually, but it just... I've never seen a raccoon do something like this either. Like, it is trying to bite it. That's so funny. But it's so bad at it. Like, it got right up next to it and it just tried to nibble it. And now it's eating on its stick. That's so funny.
"400 years ago, beavers were plentiful in England and all across Europe. Today, except for northern Scandinavia, they're almost gone from the continent. But in Canada, you can find their lodges in almost every part."
That's also something that I never really thought about. As an American, you always hear about beavers and how they are coming back, how they were hunted and how they're coming back. But I feel like this guy just said, in Europe, they're just completely gone. And the environments that they created are also completely gone. And you have to imagine just the ecological devastation that happened in the wake of losing all beavers. Like I said at the beginning of this, beavers are the most impactful animals besides humans to the environment. So to have completely removed them from Europe, there must have been such a trophic cascade of consequences from that. And that would deserve its own, entirely own documentary.
And it is generally accepted that there are more beavers now than there were when the white man first arrived here. Traditionally, the beaver has been recognized as Canada's national emblem, and the symbolic values are impressive. The beaver is industrious, exceptionally so, devoted to family life and the careful rearing of its offspring. And when a couple mates, it's usually for life. Beavers are builders, not destroyers.
Beavers are builders, not destroyers.
For anyone wanting to catch a glimpse of the beaver at work or on his way to work, the best time is at twilight, just before the light finally fades. And the best place is any one of 10,000 lakes and streams, wherever the rocks and pines, the spruce and the birch, border the cold northern waters of this Canadian beaver country.
All right, I think that was it. I think that was Profiles of Nature. There's still like a minute left, but I think this is just going to be music. Oh yeah, here we go, credits. Okay, so that's interesting. Producer Ralph C. Ellis, but director and cinematographer was William Carrick, and that was the guy who bred the beavers for 7 years leading up to this. So this must have been like his pride and joy, or his passion. I wonder if he did the other episodes in this series in Profiles of Nature, if he was specifically for the beavers. Again, that was such an investment. They said it took him 7 years and 5 beaver generations to get all that. Really incredible. Good shout out to William Carrick and Hugh Kemp, I guess. All right, well, that was Profiles of Nature, the Beaver. I feel like I learned a lot. I feel like humanity itself learned a lot from this. If what they said was true and those really were the first shots we ever saw inside of a beaver lodge, then this isn't just a documentary. This is actually a work of science, which I'm really impressed by. I think this is definitely a good thing to watch if you want to learn about beavers. I again want to see what YouTube's beaver videos look like. I'm just going to look up beaver on YouTube and see what we get. True facts about beaver. All right, I don't think that's the same thing. Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's the thing about YouTube is you will find all these little videos about beavers in one way or another, but you will never find just a all-encompassing beaver documentary like this with, amazing footage of a beaver lodge that took 7 years to get. So that's really the value of watching this over YouTube videos about beavers, is you really get some good in-depth knowledge on them and their lifestyles. Really, I said at the beginning that I like beavers. I know about them. I've seen them in nature before, but having seen this and having gotten to see inside their homes, I feel like I understand them on a whole nother level, and I feel like I respect them as animals, as intelligent animals, a lot more now because of this. So that's what I got out of Profiles of Nature the Beaver. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I think we're going to cut to black again.